Keep yourself in the loop of everything football on the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast. The latest news on and off the field, be it college football, Big Ten, SEC, Big 12, Pac-12, ACC to the NFL. We've got you covered. Listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast.
All right, and welcome to the GSMC Football Podcast. This episode is brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network, and as always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia, and today's date is February 5th, 2018, and believe it or not, the Philadelphia Eagles are now your 2017 Super Bowl champions. All right, probably one of the best Super Bowl games I've probably watched in recent memory. I mean, it was better than the one last year, I'll tell you that much, right? Yeah, Falcons were up 28-3. Tom Brady came back. Oh, what iconic moment. That's cool, but at one point the game was 28-3, and it was just a blowout. All right, so let's not forget that. This one was just constant back and forth, back and forth, back and forth the entire time. All right, there were storylines in there. There was crazy plays. There was trick plays. There was Tom Brady dropping a pass. The game had everything yesterday. So we're going to talk about that game in the first segment, as we always do. All right, pretty much just going to summarize the entire game. But let me let you know now. This podcast is going to be a real Patriots and Eagles heavy podcast today, all right? So like I said, we're going to talk about the game in the first segment. Next up, we're going to talk about the Patriots, talk about their offseason, talk about Bill Belichick, talk about Rob Gronkowski. Is he coming back next year? And pretty much anything else that we need to talk about them. Because obviously, I mean, it's not looking like Tom Brady or Belichick are retiring. So pretty much going to talk about what's next for them. Are they going to be able to be as good as they were this season, next season? So, just a little outlook. All right, then for Philly in the third segment, we're going to be talking about Nick Foles, Carson Wentz. Do they need to make a little change there possibly? Or what happens there? Pretty much talk about their future. They got a lot of guys locked up going forward, so I mean they're going to be a team. It's going to be really good within probably for the next 5 years, I say. All right, and then for that fourth segment, as we always do, I mean we're going to talk about anything else going on in the world of football. All right, so we'll be doing that. But like I said, let's start off with this Philadelphia Eagles New England Patriots Super Bowl game recap here. All right, I'm sure most of you watched it, so this isn't news to you, but Philadelphia Eagles knocked off the New England Patriots 41-33. All right, game was insane. You had Nick Foles, who completed 28 out of his 43 passes, 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Then you had Trey Burton. Oh, let me tell you this before I even tell you what Trey Burton did. Nick Foles caught a touchdown pass in this game, all right, and that did come from Trey Burton, who only threw 1 pass, had 1 completion for 1 yard, so very efficient from Trey Burton there. Then running the ball for Philly, you had LeGarrette Blount with 14 carries, 90 yards, 1 touchdown, couldn't be stopped at all. Jay Ajayi with 9 carries for 57 yards. Corey Clement got the ball 3 times, had 8 yards there. Corey Clement was also the leading receiver for Philly. He had 4 receptions for 100 yards and a touchdown. Nelson Aguilar, big game from him, 9 catches, 84 yards. Alshon Jeffrey, 3 catches, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. Zach Ertz, 7 catches, 67 yards, and a touchdown. And then Torrey Smith had 5 catches for 49 yards, no touchdowns there. As for the New England Patriots, let me tell you this and then think about it. Tom Brady completed 28 of his 48 passes, 505 yards, 3 touchdowns. All right. James White rushing the ball. He had 7 carries for 45 yards, 1 touchdown. Dion Lewis, 9 carries for 39 yards. Let's see, on the receiving end, you had Danny Amendola with 8 receptions, 152 yards. Chris Hogan, 6 receptions, 128 yards, 1 touchdown. Rob Gronkowski with 9 catches for 116 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then you had Brandon Cooks, who left the game with a concussion. He had 1 catch for 23 yards before he got lit up by Brandon Cooks. And when I say lit up, the dude got lit up. It was ridiculous. I mean, you see Cooks. Yeah, it was the only Cook is the only catch of the game. You see him catch the ball. Always trying to make a move there. Let me cut to the left. Turn around. Boom. Malcolm Jenkins just ends his game right there. It was a great hit. I mean, it was some helmet to helmet, but nonetheless, I mean, that's a football play right there. So, I mean, just a crazy hit. Just one of those, like, Like, just let him know you're there hits. And sure enough, he did. Brandon Cooks left the game with a concussion. All right, so if you paid attention, like I said, Tom Brady had 505 yards, 3 touchdowns. If I would have told you before the game, I'm a time traveler, all right? I got the little, what's that little Back to the Future car? The DeLorean or something like that? Man, I'm too young for that, but nonetheless, you guys know what I'm talking about for all you older people out there. I'm not trying to call you guys old, but you get what I'm saying. But nonetheless, let's say I travel back in time. And it's Friday, and I'm telling you, Tom Brady's going to throw for over 500 yards and throw for 3 touchdowns. All right, I'm telling you it's going to happen, obviously, because I'm from the future. You're making all your bets on the Patriots, aren't you? Yeah, because who wouldn't bet on the Patriots if you knew Tom Brady was going to throw for 505 yards, 3 touchdowns? I mean, it's ridiculous. And what if I told you, oh, and he loses to Nick Foles? That'd be even crazier. All right, this game was one for the ages here, all right? First half, let me go in the scoring summary here, all right? So first quarter comes, Jake Elliott kicks a 25-yarder, makes it 3-0. Steven Gostkowski comes back, kicks a field goal there, makes it 3-3. And then Alshon Jeffrey catches a 34-yard touchdown pass from Nick Foles towards the end of the first quarter, which makes it 9-3. 9-3 because, you know what? I don't know what was wrong with these kickers in that first quarter, but, man, they couldn't kick the ball to save their life. I think it was one of the field goals where it's Gostkowski goes up to kick. I think it was his first field goal he's attempting, all right? So the what's his name? The long snapper snaps it, and it's a bad one. And Lace is wearing out. Gostkowski goes to kick it, and he completely shanks it. All right. So yeah, he missed that one, and then you had Jake Elliott who missed the extra point after the Alshon Jeffrey touchdown. And usually these kickers are lights out throughout the year. I mean, look at Jake Elliott. I think it was the second game of the season. Kicked the game-winning 60-yard field goal down the middle, I think it was. And Gostkowski, I mean, that dude never misses field goals, but nonetheless, I mean, these kickers were, I don't know if they had Super Bowl nerves, but nonetheless, these dudes couldn't kick to save their life in the first quarter. All right, second quarter comes, the Garrett Blount 21-yard touchdown run makes it 15-3 because the Eagles failed on getting the 2-point conversion. Then Gostkowski comes out after that, kicks another field goal, which makes it 15-6, Philly still. James White scores a 26-yard touchdown run, which makes it 15-12, Philly still up. End of the second quarter, 34 seconds left. Nick Foles catches a 1-yard touchdown pass from Trey Burton, which made it 22-12. Again, yeah, believe it or not, Nick Foles caught a touchdown pass in this one, all right? And that wasn't the first play. That was the first ball that was thrown to a quarterback in this game. Before that, you had Danny Amendola throw a pass to Tom Brady, and now I understand why Tom Brady never became a wide receiver. The dude had alligator arms, it was disgusting the way he tried catching the ball. I mean, the guy, literally alligator. I was like, dude, Tom, stretch your arms out, you'll catch it. Was by himself, but I didn't really like how New England ran that play either. I think that was more of a sign of desperation there because, yeah, let's talk about the first half since we finished the scoring summary of the first half there with the Nick Foles touchdown. So, yeah, let's talk about the first half, all right? So, the Patriots really did not look too good on offense in that first half. Tom Brady was missing easy throws. And really, the only ones he was completing were the deep passes. All right, it's not like he was fitting them into tight windows as far as throwing the ball deep. I don't know what it was with these Philly corners, but those guys were getting beat on every double move there. All right, just run up, hesitate, run down again. I mean, wide open. You had guys like Danny Amendola wide open, Chris Hogan wide open, Brandon Cooks for one play wide open until they get lit up. I mean, that's the only pass Tom Brady could complete. It was ridiculous. I mean, the guy couldn't even his screens that he was throwing in that first half were just ugly. All right, the little short curl route slants, Tom Brady couldn't hit. Him and Gronk were way off in the first half. Just Tom Brady did not look good in that first half. It was all Philly. All right, like I said, I mean, the Patriots did show signs of life in that first half with that James White touchdown and all that, but nonetheless, Tom Brady just didn't look good whatsoever in that first half. Philly, I mean, Nick Foles came out. First drive of the game, Nick Foles is out there just throwing dimes, dotting them up. And when I say dotting them up, it's pretty much when you put the you got a sharp pencil and you just put a dot, a little quick dot on the piece of paper. That's exactly what he's doing. Just boom, 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 boom. Just plenty of dots on the paper there to the Eagles receivers. Was accurate, wasn't missing too many throws. Just looked like he was one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, if we're being honest. That's exactly how well he played. I mean, the guy was just ridiculous, all right? So, like I said, the first half just really consisted of the Patriots not playing well on offense. Defense didn't show up, and the Eagles were just doing whatever they wanted there, all right? But there was really no pressure on Tom Brady for most of them that first half. I mean, the guy just he couldn't complete passes to save his life. That's all it was. So yeah, the first half ended 22-12. All right, then the second half comes, and believe it or not, like it's like the Patriots remembered, oh yeah, let's throw to our best player, Rob Gronkowski, because he's pretty good, ain't he? So that's exactly what they did on the first drive of the third quarter, I think it was. I mean, I think Gronk had like 4 catches for 64 yards on that first drive. He finished it with a 5-yard touchdown pass from Brady with 12:15 left, which made it 22-19. Philly still up. Then later on in the quarter, you had Corey Clement catch a 22-yard pass from Nick Foles, which made it 29-19. And then with 3 minutes about left in the third quarter, you had Chris Hogan caught a 26-yard touchdown pass from Tom Brady. It was wide open, too, which made it 29-26. Fourth quarter comes. Jake Elliott kicks a 42-yard field goal early, which makes it 32-26. Gronk comes out, another touchdown pass from Brady, which makes it 33-32 New England. First lead of the game for them there. And then Nick Foles takes him down the field. All right, with about 2 minutes, it was like, 5 minutes left on that drive. Gets it to around 2 minutes, 20 seconds there. And then Nick Foles hits Zach Ertz for an 11-yard touchdown pass. And there was some controversy on this. All right, there's controversy on two touchdown passes from Nick Foles. One was the Corey Clement touchdown pass, and the other one was the Zach Ertz touchdown pass. All right, let me tell you about the Corey Clement one first. All right, so I mean Nick Foles. So let me tell you this. All right, Corey Clement runs down the field, a little deep route, and Nick Foles puts it in the probably most perfect place you could. All right, I know that's probably not the right phrasing, most perfect, but nonetheless, I mean, he couldn't have put this ball anywhere else. It was perfect. Right there in the basket for Corey Clement. He catches it. When he tries bringing it in, he bobbles it, like not even bobbles it. He just, like, I guess you could say bobbles it, but like the ball moves a bit, all right? We'll just say that. The ball moves a bit, and then he brings it into his chest. 1 foot hits, and then the second foot, it barely hits the out-of-bounds marker, all right, at the back of the end zone. So it was ruled a touchdown at first, and then they go to review it. I'm thinking, yeah, this isn't a touchdown because, like I said, Corey Clement, catches it, hits 1 foot, but then bobbles it a bit, so that pretty much negates the first foot that he had down, brings it in. Then he does have another foot that hits inside the end zone, and then the second foot, to make it a complete catch, hits the back of the end zone, but barely. Nonetheless, the refs come out, and they say it's a touchdown pass. And then you had Twitter, Chris Collinsworth losing his mind. Oh, what's a catch? I don't even know anymore. I don't even know about the rule. They need to do something about it. And Chris Collinsworth, really, I mean, he just must really not like having to talk about a catch because the dude got frustrated every time. But nonetheless, they ruled it a touchdown. I don't think it should have been, but, I mean, it's fine with me, I guess. I'm not a ref. They made their call. And then here's the second controversy, all right? This is Zach Ertz one. This one shouldn't have even been up for debate. This was a catch through and through. Didn't even matter, all right? So Ertz runs a little slant route, catches it, tucks it, takes 3 steps, reaches out, and the ball didn't even like pop out when it hit the ground, all right? He reaches out, goes down, and then as soon as when he turns, the ball pops up. It didn't pop up because it hit the ground. It pops up because he just, I don't know, like it bounced off of his hand, I think. So nonetheless, it pops up, and it doesn't hit the ground after that. He catches it in midair as the ball's in midair. And then you get Chris Collinsworth. Oh, this shouldn't be a catch, blah, blah, blah. Almost like Chris Collinsworth was going for the Patriot in this one, but that's just a story for a different day. But nonetheless, I'm thinking, no. All right, you catch the ball. You tuck it, take like 3 steps. That's a catch. And anything after that is just a fumble. All right? And it's like, it was just ridiculous. Like, people were just overthinking it to the max. And then you got guys like Le'Veon Bell going on and said, well, if this is a touchdown catch, then why wasn't Jesse James's catch a touchdown? Because it wasn't even the same thing. People were trying to say that catch and the Zach Ertz catch were the same thing. No, they weren't even close. I watched the replay of the Jesse James catch. Jesse James catches it, and then he immediately goes down and tries to reach the ball out, all right? He didn't catch it, tuck it, and run towards the end zone. He just caught it, fell, and then dropped it after that. I mean, it's up for debate whether or not that should have been a touchdown pass, but I don't really care about that anymore since the Steelers didn't even make it into the AFC Championship game nonetheless, so it doesn't really matter either way because it was a regular season game. But either way, like I said, I mean, that could be debated, I guess you could say. But the Zach Ertz one wasn't even close. That was a touchdown easily. All right? People were just overthinking it a bit because, I mean, it's true. We don't really know what a catch is. It's pretty much whatever the refs decide. But nonetheless, those were the 2 controversies there. So like I said, Zach Ertz catches the touchdown. About 22 minutes left, and it's like, oh, way too much time for Tom Brady, right? And sure enough, I mean, Yeah, it was a lot of time for the guy. But defense wins championships. Don't you ever forget that. All right? Always, 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 defense wins championships. Yeah, I get they gave up 33 points, but when it mattered most, what did they do? Brandon Graham lines up on the inside of the D-line instead of the outside where he normally does. Bull rushes the guard, gets through him, and knocks the ball out of Tom Brady's hand. I think Derek Barnett recovered it, and then boom. Philly, it's like, oh, the evil empire, they're going down. The dictators, they're going down. Belichick and Brady are going to lose. And Philly gets the ball back. They run the ball 3 straight times, burn some clock off. I think there's a minute left. They kick a field goal, 41-33. There's a minute left. New England has no timeouts. And you know what? All of us were on the edge of our seats seeing whether Brady could take them back and score. And that's a little bit wild. Think about it. We were waiting to see if a quarterback with no timeouts could take a team down the field with a minute left from like the 10-yard line too. All right. And he got him near the 50-yard line with about 9 seconds left. And even then, it's like, oh, it's just a Hail Mary. I mean, in reality, it's like, he's not going to get this because it's a Hail Mary. Only Aaron Rodgers does stuff like this. And we're still at the edge of our seat saying, can Brady do it? Can he do it? And that kind of adds to Brady's greatness there. All right, we were on the edge of our seats to see a team throw a Hail Mary pass at the end. All right, in reality, yeah, that's a play that never works. But nonetheless, we were there because like Brady's gonna do it. Like, I'm sure Eagles fans probably could have been feeling pretty good about it because they probably should have been feeling good about it because it's just a Hail Mary and then you got a bunch of guys back there, but you never know with Tom Brady. So it just pretty much adds to the greatness there. But nonetheless, he throws the Hail Mary. It's going towards Gronk. It gets knocked down. Boom. Philadelphia Eagles, your new Super Bowl champions. One of the best Super Bowl games I've watched, probably, maybe what's one of the best all time. Again, it was better than the game yesterday. Or not yesterday, last year, I should say. Let's see. It was better than the Peyton Manning Denver game. Was it better than Seattle and New England that year that Pete Carroll made me lose some money? Yeah. This game was just back and forth. Kind of reminded me of the San Jose State-Fresno State game where David Fales faced off with Derek Carr. And the game was just, boom, constant going back and forth. But then you knew, like, first team to cause a turnover is going to win the game. That's exactly how it ended up for the Eagles right there. Caused the turnover, big play by Brandon Graham. And like I said, they're your Super Bowl champions. Great game there. And now it's pretty much questions when Eagles do at quarterback. I don't think there's really much of a question there, but it's something that could be talked about. And you know what? We're going to wrap it up for here. There was a little questionable decision that Belichick made for that game that might have made a difference, could have made a difference for the Patriots if he would have went the other way. So we'll talk about that in the next segment. So like I said, yeah, next up we're going to be talking about the Patriots, talk about that little decision that Belichick made, talk about pretty much anything else for them and just going forward, you know. And then for the Eagles in the third segment, we'll talk about Foles and Wentz, pretty much anything else. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
GSMC Football Podcast. For that first segment, we recapped the Super Bowl game, I should say. I don't know why I drew a blank there, but yeah, we recapped the Super Bowl game. Once again, the Eagles are your Super Bowl champs, and deservedly so. I mean, Nick Foles had the game of his life there. We're going to talk more about him in the third segment, but nonetheless, I mean, it was a great game, and there was some questionable decisions in that game. One of them was by the Patriots. All right, and that decision was starting cornerback Eric Rowe over Malcolm Butler, the Super Bowl hero from the Seahawks and Patriots Super Bowl. I don't remember which Super Bowl number it was. That's one thing about the Super Bowls, too. I forget the numbers. Like, I think this was 52, But I think I only remember that because I had to make that part of the. I had to mention that in one of the titles for one of the podcasts. I think it was either GSMC Football or GSMC Sports, but nonetheless, that's the only way I remember. But all right, so like I said, for the game, I mean, let's talk a little bit more about the game so we can give context as to why we're talking about what decision Belichick made here. All right, so if you watched the game, you noticed corners from both sides of from both teams were getting burnt the entire time. It's like these dudes were out there. It's like they were linebackers covering wide receivers, it felt like. I mean, the guys could not cover to save their lives at all. Stephon Gilmore was probably the best corner out there, and he did well on Alshon Jeffrey. Alshon Jeffrey was getting the most of them the first half, but second half comes, Jeffrey didn't do nothing. So I respect Gilmore there. Played extremely well. All right, as far as the Eagles side of the ball, like I said, any double move that happened, those dudes were burnt toast the entire time. Couldn't stop anything. All right. And then there was Eric Rowe. Nick Foles was going at Eric Rowe all the time in that game. Every single time. All right. And Rowe couldn't do anything about it. All right. It was just constantly just picking on. It's like Eric Rowe was a rookie. It's like, yeah, it's exactly like that. It's like how you see veteran quarterbacks. If they're playing against a rookie cornerback on the other side, then you're always going to see the veteran cornerback going to go towards that rookie side every single time just to see what he's got there, all right? And that's exactly what Nick Foles was treating Eric Rowe, like treating him like he was a rookie, like he wasn't nothing, all right? Boom, 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 completion, every time. And there was a little question that arose, all right? Why was Malcolm Butler not out there? The guy that played in 97.5% of the team's snaps in the regular season was the starter for the postseason. And the guy just didn't play at all on defense. Got some special teams work in, but other than that, was not in on the defensive side of the ball. All right. And I was reading some of the Twitter comments from Patriots fans saying that Butler just really didn't look good this season, had a down year. And I understand that, but why did Bill Belichick not play Butler at all? Okay. If you remember, I think it was the national anthem, and I didn't think anything of it when I saw it. I just thought, let me tell you what's happening, all right? So it's the national anthem, and the cameras are panning away, showing players, stuff like that. Then you see Malcolm Butler. Okay, he's got his hands he's got his index finger and his thumb in his eyes, like trying to cover up his tears, okay? And I think it was Matthew Slater who was standing next to him. I can't remember the player who was, but he's got his arm around him on his shoulder. Like pretty much, like you said, I comfort him. I was thinking, you know what? He's hyped for the Super Bowl, and he's just overwhelmed with emotion right now. All right. And honestly, I didn't really realize until they brought it up that Malcolm Butler wasn't playing. All right. I didn't realize that. So you got Butler in that game who didn't play at all, and like I said, Eric Rowe just got burnt. And it's not like Eric Rowe got burnt, so they threw Butler in to see if he could make a difference. They didn't even try throwing him out there. Like, not even to go out and see if they could stop the bleeding at all. It was kind of weird now that you think about it. And after the game, Malcolm Butler said that the coaches, they gave up on him and didn't give him a chance. And Belichick says that it was a game plan thing, and he was asked if it was disciplinary, and Belichick said no, it was just part of the game plan. And I'm not really sure how much stock we could put into Belichick's statement because he's never going to air the Patriots' dirty laundry. We know that. He'll never say anything. Dude is, if you ever need an alibi, I'm just saying, Belichick's your guy. All right, the dude will not break or say anything to anyone. All right, I'm not saying go out and commit a crime and have Bill Belichick be your guy that helps you out, but nonetheless, I mean, that's kind of how he is. The dude will just not tell on you, I should say, all right? But nonetheless, it is kind of interesting to see, and Matt Patricia, too, the defensive coordinator, had the same answer for every question about it, too. He said, you know what, we felt Rowe gave us the best chance, and it was like part of the game plan and all that. And Eric Rowe didn't find out he was starting, I saw it till minutes before the game, okay? So that means if he doesn't find out that he's starting minutes before the game, that for the Super Bowl prep during practices, Malcolm Butler was the guy who was going through everything. All right, was with the first team, pretty much learning, as far as what to do against the Eagles wide receivers. All right, because if you're in the NFL, I've noticed and I've learned from what players say that you're starting before, like a few days before the game, because what they're having you do during practice. So for Eric Rowe to find out that, oh, I'm starting the Super Bowl a few minutes before, then obviously something had to have happened. All right. And I guess it's just all speculation. I'm not sure if Butler did something wrong or broke some team rules, and that's why. But nonetheless, do we question Bill Belichick here? And I'm not sure that we do. And I do think that Butler, he wouldn't have been a shutdown corner or anything like Stephon Gilmore was, all right? He wouldn't have been that at all. But I think he would have stopped the bleeding a bit. Maybe could have locked up Nelson Aguilar a little bit, maybe Torrey Smith a bit. And again, I mean, Nick Foles was out of his mind. We're going to talk more about Nick Foles' game in the third segment. But nonetheless, I mean, Malcolm Butler, I think, could have made a little bit of difference. And even if he wouldn't have, you still got to go out there and throw him out there and see and try, right? I mean, for you to see that Eric Rowe is struggling and you don't even give Butler a chance is it's weird. And now getting back to my original point, do we question Belichick? I mean, if it's strictly about the game plan, then can we question him? I mean, the guy has always been a genius as far as personnel moves and throwing the right guys out there at the right time. So maybe Belichick did see something, and maybe if Belichick didn't think that Butler would have made a difference or anything like that, there's no reason to throw him out there, I guess you could say. But nonetheless, I mean, I feel like as a coach or whatever, you got to throw all your options out there. And even if it is disciplinary, I mean, I understand the Patriots have a certain type of culture, and it's pretty much get in line, do your job type of thing, but it's the Super Bowl, all right? If one guy messes up, yeah, I'm going to handle that, but, I mean, we need everything we got to win this game, all right? I get, if Malcolm Butler did something wrong, then I guess that's why, but even that way, if I'm a coach, I'm still throwing him out there, believe it or not. I get it's going to sound bad because you got to hold players accountable, blah, 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 but I mean, you got to throw the players out there to give you the best chance to win. It's win or go home. It's the Super Bowl. You got to do whatever it takes to win this game. And obviously, Belichick didn't think that Butler would have made a difference. But personally, I mean, again, I'm just the dude with the podcast. But I think you throw Butler out there, he might come up with a couple of stops, or at least, I mean, he wouldn't get burned as much as Rowe did. So I guess it's all just speculation from here as far as why he didn't play him. I know Malcolm Butler is a free agent, and after this, I don't see him coming back to the Patriots. So, and as far as the reasons go as to why, I mean, I've seen people say that Butler didn't sign a team-friendly deal, and that's why Belichick sat him. I'm not sure what I think about that. Again, there's the whole he didn't fit the game plan or wouldn't have played well against the Eagles, little rumor. And then there's the little disciplinary rumors that he did something wrong, broke a team rule before the game, and that's why. So, I mean, like I said, whatever he did had to have happened the night before the game or the day of the game, because like I said, Eric Rowe didn't know he was starting until a few minutes before. So either way, we're gonna have to wait and see. I mean, I'm not sure if we'll ever find out. If we ever do, it's gonna have to be from what Butler says, not from Belichick, because Belichick's never gonna address it again. So, yeah, that was just one of the weirder situations in the game. And now that the game is over for the Patriots, all we have to do is go forward. And one of the questions there about going forward is Rob Gronkowski going to be there next season? All right. Rob Gronkowski got asked by reporters after the game if he was thinking about retiring or if he was coming back next season. And Gronk didn't give him a yeah answer. He didn't say, oh, yeah, I'll be back. He said, I'm going to have to think about it. I'm not sure. All right. Taking the old Big Ben Roethlisberger route that he's done for the last 3 years. But I do understand why Gronk is thinking about his future. I mean, the dude's hurt every year, Phil. Got a concussion this year. He's broken his forearm. And I think, did he ever tear his ACL? I don't think so. But nonetheless, he's had a bunch of injuries, all right? And if Gronk leaves this team, I still think that the Patriots will end up being fine. But that's a huge void gone. And now that I think about it, I'm not sure how fine they'd be. All right, because Rob Gronkowski is that guy that no matter what you do to game plan for him, you're not going to stop him at all. All right, at all. Danny Amendola, Chris Hogan, Brandon Cooks, those are guys that you could stop, but Rob Gronkowski is the best tight end of all time. So, I mean, there's not really much you could do against the guy, so it's going to be interesting to see what decision he makes. If I had to put money on it, I'd say he's coming back, but now that he's thinking about it, I mean, this guy probably doesn't have too many years left in him. He's already got a big money contract, and I've seen that I've read articles saying that Gronk is really good with his money, and he doesn't spend his contract money. He only spends his endorsement money. I think I seen that about a year ago, that article. Can't remember exactly where I seen it from. Might have been ESPN, but nonetheless, I mean, Gronk's got money. He's only playing for the love of the game now, pretty much. So, I mean, eventually, these injuries are going to take a toll on him. He's going to be like, do I want to do this anymore? So it's going to be interesting to see. And now, how many more years left of Tom Brady and Bill Belichick do we got? And are they going to be able to get another Super Bowl before both retire? As far as Bill Belichick, I'm not sure what really happens with him, because obviously there's a longer shelf life on coaches than there is players. If you're a coach, you could coach into your 70s. Like, is there anyone coaching in their 70s right now? I don't think so, but I think Pete Carroll's like in his late 60s, I think, believe it or not. But nonetheless, I mean, I'm not sure how much time Belichick's got left as a coach, how long he wants to keep coaching. And as far as Brady, I mean, the dude threw for 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, and lost. Do we think that Tom Brady can get back to the Super Bowl? Or do we think that he's going to eventually get passed up? Let's look at it this way. You got the Steelers, who are going to be the top team in the AFC next year, the Jags. Other than that, it's all speculation as to who could come up. The Texans, you got to see what Deshaun Watson does, and are we even sure that they're going to be good enough to get to that point? All right, like I said, the Jags, Blake Bortles is their quarterback. They got to the AFC Championship this year. Maybe they could do it again next year. All right. I mean, no one in the AFC West really scares me if I'm the Patriots. AFC East, that's still their division. I mean, they own it. They got to lock on it till Brady's gone, or unless a team like the Bills or Dolphins get a real solid quarterback. And like I said, I mean, that's pretty much it. There's only like 3 teams out there who have a legitimate chance to get to a Super Bowl, and the other team is like wait and see types. All right, like I said, the Jags, Steelers, Patriots have chances to get there, but other than that, I mean, the Titans you got to wait and see. I mean, the Texans you got to wait and see. You got to wait and see about the Colts getting Andrew Luck back. So it's pretty much, yeah, the Patriots could get back if they wanted to next year. I think right now as of right now with the way too early odds, they have the best odds to get back and to win the Super Bowl. So I mean, don't be counting out the Patriots yet. But this game was kind of weird. It was almost like, it's just weird seeing the Patriots lose a Super Bowl. And obviously they haven't won a Super Bowl for 8 years straight or 5 years straight or anything like that. But nonetheless, I mean, it's just odd. It's an odd sight to see them lose. All right? It's an odd sight to see the offense play this well and they lose. It's kind of like this. And one thing, too, that I saw was I was looking through ESPN's website, as I usually do, and I saw a little video of Max Kellerman saying that, is this going to be the downfall of Brady? Is he going to start going down? How could you even be asking this question when the guy throws for over 500 yards, throws for 3 touchdowns against arguably the league's best defense? How can you be asking a question like that? All right. This is one thing ESPN loves. They love to create the conversation that isn't there. They love to talk about things that will never happen or things that are way too early to talk about. All right, yeah, Brady's going to be older, another year older, but nonetheless, the dude threw for over 500 yards, 3 touchdowns in the Super Bowl. Dude's an all-time great. And where in the world did you see him falling off in this game? Yeah, in the first half, but I mean, he picked it up in the second half and looked just as good as he's always has, I should say. But nonetheless, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how it all ends up for the Patriots. I'm really curious as to see what happens with Gronk. That's one of the biggest factors for them going forward. So that's all I got to say about that. Next up, we're going to be talking Eagles. We're going to be talking Foles. We're going to be talking Wentz and their future. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show that's built on the MMA. From the UFC to extreme cage fighting, they got the fights covered. Check out the GSMC MMA podcast. Get the latest news on past or upcoming fights. Join us as we talk to and about some of the biggest names in the MMA, past, present, and future. When it's the fight game, there's just one show to check out. GSMCpodcast.com/MMA-podcast. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit GSMCpodcast.com for more info.
Alright, and welcome back to the GSMC Football Podcast. So far on today's show, we recapped the Super Bowl game in the first segment, talked about the Patriots benching Malcolm Butler for the majority of the second segment, and talked a bit about Rob Gronkowski. Is he coming back? Is he not? And what happens if he doesn't? And now, we're going to talk about the Eagles and Nick Foles' game and then we'll talk about whether or not you keep Carson Wentz or you keep Foles. I mean, Foles did play a great game, And we'll talk about the Eagles' nice future that they have set up. So let's just get into it right now. Let's talk about the game for Nick Foles. I mean, the guy was just incredible. Game of his life here, all right? Did whatever he wanted. As you know, I haven't really been on the Nick Foles bandwagon too much, all right? Yeah, he has played well so far in the postseason. Or I'm talking about before the Super Bowl game too, so don't yell at me. But yeah, he was playing well in the postseason. And I just honestly just did not see this coming whatsoever. All right. Just the throws he was making, it was just ridiculous. I mean, the guy was looking like, dare I say, looking like an Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady type out there. I mean, it was just ridiculous. The dude had all right, to beat the Patriots, as we've all come to know, you need to be perfect. Nick Foles was perfect. All right. It wasn't just him completing passes. It was his pocket presence. It was him rolling out. It was him throwing on the run. It was him looking at all options. It was him throwing to the check down. I mean, he literally did everything great. All right. He has me talking about whether or not the Eagles should keep him, or he's going to have me talking about whether or not the Eagles should keep him or Carson Wentz as the starting quarterback next season in a few moments. And that's just ridiculous to see because the guy Carson Wentz, who blew out his knee, was having an MVP season and was going to win it in his second year in the NFL. All right, but nonetheless, I mean, Nick Foles was great in this game. Whether it's throwing it to Nelson Aguilar down the sideline in the corner, dropping that ball in so only he can get it. Whether it's thrown to a guy like Corey Clement with a dude right behind him and dropping it in the only position where he can get it. Whether it's throwing it to Nelson Aguilar in the middle of the field when you're trying to drive down the field before that Zach Ertz touchdown, throwing between a safety and a linebacker, I believe it was, in the smallest possible window you could have and getting it to him. The dude was lights out, all right? I mean, whether it was a fourth down play, like 4th and 5, I think it was, in the fourth quarter, and you need a big fourth down here, otherwise you get the ball back to the Patriots, and you know they're already going to come down the field and score, and you find a way to avoid the pass rush and get the ball to Zach Ertz for a first down. I mean, the dude was lights out, incredible, all right? Like, I'm trying to not be a prisoner of the moment, but, I mean, did he outplay Tom Brady? Think about it. All right, I'm not saying if he did or not. I'm just asking the question. All right, Brady throws for over 500 yards, 3 touchdowns. Foles, 373 yards, 3 touchdowns. Did have a pick, but, I mean, that's one that Alshon Jeffrey had and then bobbled, and it ended up in the Patriots secondary's safety's hands. All right, it wasn't like Nick Foles made a bad throw or anything like that. Jeffrey could have caught it, but nonetheless, I mean, think about it. Yeah, Brady had the stats. All right. But you know what? I'm going to say it. Nick Foles outplayed Tom Brady in this game. All right. Let me tell you why. For all around from beginning to end, Nick Foles was lights out, hitting everything, very composed, played extremely well. Brady did not get it going until the second half. All right. And his stats in the first half did look pretty good, but that's only because of the fact that every dude he threw it to deep was wide open. All right, Philly couldn't cover anything in that first half as far as deep. I mean, if you truly think about it, all right, don't yell at me again. Oh, no, Tom Brady 500 yards, yada yada yada. All right, no, go back and look at the way Tom Brady was throwing the ball in the first half. Dude couldn't complete any screens or anything short. Any screen he did complete was looking like a bad pass and just was off of it with Gronk. Just couldn't connect with him at all. So before you go and start yelling at me about, oh, this guy doesn't know anything, Brady had 505 yards, 3 touchdowns. No, that's cool. It goes deeper than just stats on a stat sheet. All right, look at the way these dudes were throwing the ball, the way they were connecting, all right, the placement that they were putting on, the pocket presence, all that. Nick Foles outplayed Tom Brady big time in this game. All right, you got to look deeper than the stats. Nick Foles was incredible. Dude saved his best game of the year for the biggest game of the year. All right. And now, what do we do at quarterback, Philly? What are we doing? Do we go with the young guy and Carson Wentz, who I think could end up being on the same level as Aaron Rodgers eventually? Or do we go with the guy like Nick Foles, who was calm, composed, and collected from the time he got the starting job at the end of the regular season to the time he won the Super Bowl, and say, you're our guy? All right. Nick Foles, let's put it into perspective, okay? Nick Foles' last great years was with the Eagles when he had Chip Kelly as coach. Threw for 27 touchdowns, I believe it was, only 2 interceptions, played great. Then gets traded to St. Louis to play for the Rams. Didn't do anything there. All right. And you know what? In St. Louis, okay, Foles didn't have much there. Foles isn't a guy who's gonna make the people around him better. He's not like an Andrew Luck type where if you put me out there, I'm gonna have an 1,000-yard season. All right, that's not Nick Foles. Nick Foles is a guy who, if you put talent around him, he's gonna get the ball to you and he's gonna put it in good places. But he needs talent, and that's fine. All right. So like with the Rams, he had no talent around him. I mean, he had one of the worst coaches in the league, and Jeff Fisher, and I'll stand by that through and through forever. All right. And then he goes to, with the Rams, it just didn't work out. Goes to Kansas City, becomes a backup, and then eventually makes his way back to Philly. Foles has showed if you put talent around him, he's going to succeed. All right. But with that said, even seeing how he was, do you stick with him knowing that he can go out and win you a Super Bowl and play in the big moments, all right, against the best? Or do you go with a guy who was having an MVP season and who was about 95% sure was going to win the MVP award this season, but is still young? You don't know how he handles the playoff atmosphere and all that. You know what you got in Nick Foles if you're Philly, all right? You know it. I was talking before the Super Bowl saying that I'm not sure if Nick Foles could do this for a 16-game season, but seeing the throws that he made and the way he made them in the Super Bowl against the best team in the league, one of the best teams in the league, I guess, and one of the best coaches of all time, and probably the best quarterback of all time, the way he was competing against a team like that showed me that, you know what, if in the right situation, Nick Foles could play extremely well. All right, and you know what? It sounds like I'm making the argument for Nick Foles to be the starter for Philly next season, but I still go Wentz as my starter next season for Philly. All right, I believe it was this morning where Doug Peterson came out and said that next year we expect Carson Wentz to be leading our team. And I'm all for that. I think right now Philly has the best of both worlds, and either way they go, they'll end up fine. But I still think that you go Wentz. You stick to the plan, all right? Wentz was supposed to be our guy. He was looking like our guy, and he's supposed to be the guy that leads us in the future. Okay, I'm going with Wentz. Let me see how old Nick Foles is right now. Maybe that could sway me a little bit, because I know me picking Wentz does have a bit to do with how old both are. Let's see. Nick Foles is 29 years old, going to be 30 next January. Carson Wentz is currently 25, so about 4 years younger. All right. That 4 years right there is still vital. I'm going to take a 4 years younger quarterback who played just as well over the guy who's going to be 30 and hope for the best. All right, because, yeah, Wentz did tear his ACL. We're not sure if he's going to come back and be the same quarterback. I'm taking that. If I'm a GM, I'm taking that chance. I'm saying, you know what? I think Carson's going to come back and he's going to play well. Because it's not like Carson Wentz was okay or anything like that. The dude was lights out this season. And I think that's just what it is. We can't be prisoners of the moment. All right? We got to stick to the plan here. And I think if you do that, Philly's going to be just fine. Because it's not like you need Carson Wentz to come out and do everything. Okay? He's got a solid defense behind him. One of the best defenses in the league behind him. 3 solid running backs. All right? And Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, and Corey Clement. Solid receiving corps in Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, Torrey Smith, Zach Ertz. All right? And one of the best coaching staffs in the league. And you know what? Let me tell you this. I think Doug Peterson outcoached Bill Belichick in this game. All right? I firmly believe that. All right? Doug Peterson did what, Doug Marrone. Yeah, Doug Marrone, the coach of the Jaguars, should have did. All right? Doug Marrone, in that AFC Championship game, with the lead, played not to lose. Doug Peterson played to win. Going forward on 4th down. Running that 4th and goal play with Nick Foles going out as a receiver and catching that ball in the end zone for the touchdown. This was the ultimate game plan from Doug Peterson. All right? And you know what? Doug Peterson came from Kansas City. They know how to beat the Patriots there. Doug Peterson knew exactly what it took to beat the Patriots, and one thing that he didn't do in this game was take his foot off the pedal. They were driving. They did not get conservative at all. They did everything perfectly, the most perfect game plan I've seen in a while against a team like the Patriots. All right, but like I said, if I'm picking between Foles or Wentz, I'm going for Wentz. All right, I'm still betting the house on him. You can go out and get a first-round pick for Nick Foles now. A team like Philly might give that up. Or even a bunch of seconds and thirds from a team like Cleveland. Did I say Philly might give that up? I meant Cleveland. But nonetheless, yeah, if I'm Philly, I'm calling Cleveland before I call anyone else. Hey, what do you want for Nick Foles? All right, Philly's got like 7 picks in the first 3 rounds, I think it is. You can get a bunch for Nick Foles there. And even then, I mean, what's next for Nick Foles if he does trade? Is he going to be able to replicate what he did with Philly? He can do it if he goes to Denver. He can do it if he goes to Cleveland, I think. Cleveland has a nice little situation there. They're a young team, all right? But they do have talent. You got Josh Gordon, Corey Coleman, David Njoku. And then if you get Nick Foles, you can draft Saquon Barkley with that first or fourth pick, whichever one you choose to keep. All right, that's a nice little situation for Nick Foles there. He's got his number 1 receiver. He's got a nice little running back who I think is going to play extremely well in his first year. You got a tight end who showed flashes of what he could be, and I think he's going to have a nice little breakout season in his second year. And as far as the defense goes, yeah, they're really young, but boy, they're developing, and that's going to be a scary defense going forward. They just got to get older and develop. That's it. All right, and plus, you got Todd Haley as the offensive coordinator, where everywhere he's went, has succeeded as an offensive coordinator. Head coach didn't really do too well, but like I said, as an offensive coordinator, has succeeded everywhere. All right, so Cleveland might be one of the best destinations for Nick Foles, and so will a team like Denver. So we're just gonna have to wait and see how it all ends up. And as far as Philly goes for the future, look at it. You got Carson Wentz as your quarterback. You have three running backs who played extremely well. Your number 1 receiver is locked up. I think you got Ertz locked up. Your offensive line, most of them locked up. Your defense, a lot of them under contract through next year, especially on the defensive line. Philly is young, and all their great players are signed through at least a few years. So Philly's going to be a team who's going to be back in the playoffs next year, and a team who could compete for another Super Bowl next season. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all ends up for them, all right? Really enjoyed that Super Bowl game, and I really enjoyed the way Philly played. I mean, they executed their game plan perfectly, all right? So if I'm a Philly fan, I'm getting really excited about the next 5 years. So we're going to have to wait and see how it all ends up for them, but I think they're set for a while. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this segment. Next up, we're going to talk about anything going on in football, whether it be Mike or Matt Patricia going to the Lions, or maybe we'll do a little end of the season recap now that football is over. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Check out the show built around the women of MMA. From the UFC to the extreme cage fighting, we got the fights covered.
Listen.
It's the Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast. The latest news of upcoming fights, discussions of previous matches. Join us as we talk to and about the biggest names in women's mixed martial arts, past, present, and future. When it's the women's fight game, you know where to listen to. The Golden State Media Concepts Women's MMA Podcast.
GSMC Football Podcast. So far on the show, it's been pretty much just a big old Super Bowl recap, for being honest here. Recapped the game itself and the stats in the first segment. Talked about the Patriots benching Malcolm Butler. And the third, we talked about Nick Foles' incredible game. And talked about how the Eagles are set in the future and what they do at quarterback as far as Foles and Wentz goes. Again, don't jump to conclusions. It's not like a clickbait thing. I made the right answer there if you didn't get a chance to listen to it or if you skipped ahead. But nonetheless, now is the last segment. Now is when we talk about anything else going on in football. Let's start off with the Hall of Fame selections. All right, Ray Lewis got in. Randy Moss got in. T.O. got in. Brian Urlacher got in. Brian Dawkins got in. Jerry Kramer got in. Robert Brazil got in. Bobby Bethard got in. Yeah. All right, those are the guys who got in. All right. It's about time Terrell Owens got in. What is this, his third year? So it's 3 years too short. All right, dude should have got in the first year he was up for the Hall of Fame. Okay? And I went on a little nice rant about it on Friday, so I'm not going to get into too much about it. But, I mean, it's well-deserved for T.O. Again, I know that the dude was always the loudest in the room, and that's why he never got in. But that's no reason to not put him in. That's not a good enough reason to get him in. I was talking with Tate before the show, and he was telling me how they need to do like an independent little committee as far as selecting people for the Hall of Fame, and I completely agree with that, all right? Completely understand that 100%. Journalists get their feelings hurt too much. Like I said, I'm trying to be one of them one day, but they feel too entitled, I feel. I mean, if a player doesn't want to answer their questions or anything like that, they're going to think about that when they're voting for him once he's up for the Hall of Fame and all that. So, I mean, an independent committee I feel like would be way better, all right? And I know journalists, we deserve to be Hall of Fame voters, yada, yada, yada. Do you? Do you? I think an independent committee would be a whole lot better, all right? But it's cool. He got in. Randy Moss got in, and that's kind of crazy. I mean, Randy Moss quit on his team a bunch of times during the games, but, I mean, yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, right, guys? But T.O. was the loudest guy on the field, so, yeah, all right. Brian Dawkins got in. That's cool for Brian Dawkins, too, all right? To one of the best safeties in the league for a period of time, and to get voted into the Hall of Fame the same weekend as your Eagles win the Super Bowl has got to be a good feeling for him. Ray Lewis got in, one of the best middle linebackers of all time, and I'm just going to say that about Ray because, yeah, Ray Lewis, great guy. Glad he got in. Then Brian Urlacher gets in, all right? And that's cool for Brian Urlacher, but Zach Thomas still isn't it, all right? Old Miami Dolphins linebacker, still not in the Hall of Fame. And his numbers are a little bit better than Urlacher's, all right? Urlacher both played 13 seasons. All right, Zach Thomas played 184 games. Urlacher 182, so both similar there. Let's look at the tackle numbers. All right, 1,100 solo tackles for Zach Thomas, 1,040 for Urlacher. Tackle assists, 627 for Zach Thomas, 314 for Urlacher. Interceptions, Urlacher's got him beat right there, 22-17. Forced fumbles, Zach Thomas has 16, Urlacher has 11. All right, sacks, Urlacher's got him beat there by quite a bit. Urlacher's got 41.5 sacks, Thomas has 20.5. Touchdowns, they're both tied with 4. All right, how about first team All-Pro? Thomas has got him beat there. 5-time first team All-Pro, Urlacher 4-team all-time first Pro Bowls. Urlacher's got him beat there, all right. Got a few fan votes, a few more. Zach Thomas, 7-time Pro Bowler. Urlacher, 8-time Pro Bowler. All right. Brian Urlacher, if I'm not mistaken, was this the first year he was in? I know it's 5 years, so it might have been last year. But nonetheless, he's in his second year. All right. I just read you those stats. All right. And you know what? I do think that Brian Urlacher is a Hall of Famer, but Zach Thomas needs to get in eventually too. All right. I get that he wasn't the biggest name, didn't play for a big media market team like Urlacher did, but nonetheless, look at the stats there. All right. Dude was a 5th-round pick. Urlacher's a 1st-round pick and has identical numbers, if not most of them are better. All right. I don't get it. It's maybe just because his name isn't out there enough, but nonetheless, he should be a Hall of Famer, and he should be in the Hall of Fame. Again, talking about Zach Thomas, all right? Dude was a small little guy, only 5'11", and like I said, still had a lot of better numbers than Urlacher. And again, I'm not trying to take anything away from Urlacher. He should have got in, but nonetheless, the fact that Zach Thomas isn't in is not a travesty. It's not like T.O. not being in for those couple of years, but nonetheless, Zach Thomas should be in the Hall of Fame, all right? If you don't know him, then that doesn't mean anything. Go learn about him. Nonetheless, Zach Thomas needs to get in eventually, okay? Check the numbers. But that's all I got to say about that for right now. Maybe there's always next year. But as you know, the football season has concluded, okay? It's sad. I know. No more football till next August when preseason comes back around. And this season here was quite one for the books, I should say. All right, we had players break out, rookies break out, injuries all over the place. Teams take a step back and had Nick Foles win a Super Bowl. Okay. I mean, as far as injuries go, let me see if I could name some of the bigger ones right here. Let's go. We're going to go division by division, see what we can name. We had Odell Beckham Jr. out for the year. Brandon Marshall out for the year. All right. Let's see. Who else was a big injury? Rodgers broke his collarbone, out for the majority of the year. Let's see. Sam Bradford out for the year. Teddy Bridgewater never really came back. Anyone else that we're missing as far as big injuries go? Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor out for the year with big injuries. Let's see. Who else are we missing? David Johnson out week 1 for the year. Then from the, let's see, anyone from the AFC North? Am I missing anyone? I don't think so. AFC South, Deshaun Watson lighting up the season, out for the year with a torn ACL. Andrew Luck never came back this season. All right. AFC West, am I missing anyone there? I don't think so. So, yeah, there's a lot of injuries, and the league is going to be interesting next year. Okay? Because there's a lot of fun storylines to look at next year. We got in San Francisco, is Jimmy Garoppolo the truth? All right? What is he going to do with a full season under his belt? Guy's played 8 games so far, has won all 8. All right, I don't think the guy's going to go 16-0 next season or anything like that. But what John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan got going on over there, starting to look pretty nice, I should admit. Okay? If Garoppolo plays as well as he has in those 8 games, watch out for the 49ers. All right? And as far as that NFC West division goes, it's going to be a nice little tough division because you got the Rams out there who had their first great year. Probably going to get even better next year. Seattle, they still got some moves to make, but they're not far off from being that team that they used to be the last few years. All right? And you got teams like the Bills and Dolphins. Bills, what are they going to do? Are they going to be able to build a team on offense to get them back to the playoffs? Are they going to be able to find a quarterback? Or are they going to stick with Tyrod or get rid of him? Is they going to go with the Nathan Peterman experience again? Or are they going to try and draft a guy or maybe trade for a guy like Nick Foles maybe? Possibly? I don't know. All right, Miami, what do you do with Ryan Tannehill? Dude has been the ultimate, this is his year. He's going to get it this year. All right, that year was supposed to be this year after they made the playoffs last year. But completely tore his ACL in training camp. Now it's looking like Miami might be drafting a quarterback in that first round. Maybe Baker Mayfield. Maybe a guy like Josh Allen. I think if you draft the quarterback, then trade Tannehill. I think that's what Miami should do if they end up taking a quarterback. What are they going to do with Jarvis Landry? Are they going to be smart and re-sign him? Or are they going to be hard-headed and let the best receiver that they had in over a decade walk? Who knows? Patriots. Are you guys going to have Rob Gronkowski back next year? If not, what are you going to do? All right, how much longer do you have left with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? All right, now you got to worry about that. As far as the AFC South goes, is that going to be the best division in football next season? Possibly. Deshaun Watson coming back, is he going to light up the league like he did this year before he tore his ACL? Well, when is Andrew Luck coming back? I mean, Andrew Luck comes back, that division is put on notice there. I don't care how good the Texans are, how good the Jags are, how good the Titans are. Andrew Luck is that good. All right, that guy comes back, that's pretty much like the boogeyman coming and showing everyone, oh yeah, I'm still the scariest guy in the building. All right. So, I mean, is Andrew Luck going to be back? How good is Jacksonville going to be with Blake Bortles as their quarterback? Or are they going to pull a fast one on us and say that Blake Bortles is a starter for next season, but bring in someone else because that's what they might do? I don't know. Is Matt LaFleur, the offensive coordinator, going to get Marcus Mariota back on track? Possibly. I think he will be. All right. Did well with Matt Ryan as his quarterback's coach the year Matt Ryan won the MVP. And this past year made Jared Goff look like a great quarterback after Jeff Fisher nearly ruined him. All right, as far as the AFC West, what do we got going on there? Is Kirk Cousins going to be playing for the Denver Broncos? If he does, that's a playoff team. Is Patrick Mahomes going to be a guy who brings the Kansas City Chiefs down, or is he going to elevate them as far as quarterback play? Chargers, I think they're the best team in the AFC West as of right now. It's a team that's going to win the division as of right now, according to me. I know it's too early to say, but that's my way too early pick. The Oakland Raiders, you got probably one more, possibly 2 more years in Oakland. What are you going to do with them? All right, how is that John Gruden experience going to work? As far as the NFC East, Philly owns that division. All right, Dallas, what are you guys going to do? New York, You sure you want Eli as your quarterback still? Washington, Alex Smith. That's going to be kind of weird to see right there. Detroit, Matt Patricia, your new head coach. Is he finally going to be the guy that gets Detroit over the hump and into the playoffs? Because you know what? They're wasting away Matt Stafford's years. That guy has Hall of Fame numbers. Just needs to put up those signature wins and get to the playoffs a few times to solidify himself as the quarterback who could get in. Green Bay, you're going to have Rodgers back for another year. Is that broken collarbone going to affect him from this past season, or is he going to come out and line up the league like he always does? Minnesota, what are you guys doing at quarterback? You got 3 different quarterbacks who are unrestricted free agents. You going Teddy B, you going Case Keenum, or are you going to go with bag of glass Sam Bradford? Who knows? AFC South, Falcons didn't look too good this year, but made the playoffs. Is Steve Sarkisian going to take the next step as an offensive coordinator and actually have the offense playing well, or is he going to hold him back again? Carolina, I mean, you never know what Carolina is. Cam Newton going to play well, or are they just going to be a team who barely misses out? New Orleans, you got 2 more years of Drew Brees left. If you re-sign him, I mean, are you going to get to the playoffs and do some, or are these 2 years just going to be a nice little, oh, that's cool. And as far as Pittsburgh, you re-signing Le'Veon Bell, or are you going to be stubborn and not pay him? So there's a lot of storylines going into next season, and there was a lot of storylines that went on from this season. I, all in all, considered it a successful NFL season. Yeah, ratings are down, but believe it or not, ratings for every TV show were down, all right? Stuff's starting to move to streaming. I don't watch TV really much anymore. If I'm watching ESPN or anything like that, it's through my computer. So don't let that whole, the NFL's ratings are falling narrative because of protests and all that get to you, because that's not why, all right? But nonetheless, it was a fun NFL season. The Philadelphia Eagles are your Super Bowl champs. Nick Foles, with 373 yards, 3 touchdowns, defeats Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this podcast. We'll be back Wednesday, actually. I forgot we have a new schedule, and you know what? The week after we'll have a new schedule, but we'll wait till Friday to tell you about it. So yeah, we'll be back Wednesday, and that'll be our first off-season podcast for the GSMC football podcast, so it'll be fun. Now we're going to be talking about the future, all right, because that's what we do. So thanks for listening to today's podcast. What we talk about today? It's like a big old Super Bowl podcast today. We talked about the game, recapped it, talked about Malcolm Butler not playing, talked about Gronk, is he going to be back next season, talked about Foles having the game of his life. What do the Eagles do at quarterback for next season? I think they go with Wentz, but who knows? All right, talked about how they're going to be good for the near future. And for this segment, talked about the Hall of Fame finalists. Glad T.O. got in. Zach Thomas needs to get in eventually. And talked about a bit of the storylines going on for next season. So stay tuned till Wednesday. We'll talk to you then. Once again, thanks for listening to the GSMC Football Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jesse Tapia. So stay tuned, and we'll talk to you later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Football Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.